Hello and welcome to the shop. A couple of months back, I started turning this apple twig blank, and I had a little problem. I had a blowout on it, and I asked you guys what you thought I should do to fix it. And let me tell you, to date, I have had a ton of people contact me with some incredible ideas. Some of you guys are extremely creative, but I had a thought. I've got a good buddy. His name is Kenneth. If you don't know who Kenneth is, go out on Facebook and look him up. Kenneth is a master of the laser. I got in touch with him on Facebook Messenger and I said, Kenneth, I have this gorgeous blank and I screwed it up. I have an idea. Do you think it's possible? And now I want to start by saying, don't call him and inundate him with needing him to repair your blanks. This is not the kind of thing he does or wants to be doing. He just took it on as a challenge to prove it could be done. What Kenneth specializes in is some of the most incredible laser cut blanks you will ever see. Now, I'm going to try, I know the place he used to sell them was Signature Pen Supply, and they've recently closed. He's working on a deal to get his blanks back out there with another storefront, and when he does, I'm going to add that to the comments below. But if you look him up on Facebook and you follow him, you'll know that information probably as quickly or even before I do. So I'm not going to show you what he did to this blank yet. Let me take it over to the table and wait till you see what he did for me. Here's a quick look at the blank. It's absolutely gorgeous. What I'm going to do is pause right now and I'm going to show you a photo of this blank with the blowout. Now that you've seen what the blank looked like damaged, let me tell you a little bit about what Kenneth did for me. When I contacted him, I had an idea. This is an apple twig blank. Wouldn't it be cool to laser an image of an apple into the blank over the blowout? Now, the image that Kenneth lasered into this blank is licensed, and he subscribes to a company that allows him free use of these images. So we did not steal the image. It was legally obtained, and I'm going to show you now what he did for me. Take a look at that. It gets even better. Using a piece of red heart, he lasered out an apple, and using a piece of walnut, he lasered out a leaf. And take a look at that. All we've got to do is epoxy these two pieces into this blank, and then we can get back to the lathe and continue turning, and this is going to be one super special blank. I brought my blank over to the lathe and I'm going to turn it between centers using a special set of TBC bushings. Notice how this one is milled. It's milled like that so that it will fit and center perfectly on your live center as well as your dead center. But there's something else cool about these. They have a 1/4 inch hole right down the center, so if you want to use them on a mandrel, you can do that. Now, Niels and Debbie Mathiasen over at the Classic Nib sent these to me to try out. I'm going to put a link to their website below because I often get asked where I get my TBC bushings, and I've got them from them before. Here's a couple of other sets that they sent me. These are for the junior. I've got a set for cigar pins. There's a set here for bolt action, and then these are 7mm. Now the 7mm don't offer the pass-through, but they do have a really nice milled out area so that they fit and center perfectly when you're turning. This blank is already turned down to the bushings on both ends, so I'm going to take 1 or 2 light passes just to even everything up, and then we're going to go straight to sanding. I've got a nice smooth transition on both sides of the apple. I'm really happy with that. I am going to take, this is famous last words, 1 or 2 more passes just to kind of take, there's a little hump here and here, kind of try to clean those out. So keep your fingers crossed for me. All right, I am happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and what I'm going to do is put 1 coat of thin CA on this blank. The reason why is I don't want this red heart to bleed into, the apple should have quite a bit of CA in it, so I really don't think it will, but it's always a good idea, better safe than sorry. 1 quick coat of thin, and then we're going to start sanding this blank and getting it ready to finish. We'll just let it spin for a couple of seconds so it's completely dry. I'm ready to start sanding my blank. We're going to go from 150 to 600, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's all sanded up. While sanding, I found a little spot right here, a little void. So I've gone ahead and I've blown the dust out of it. It's the only one I really see, but I'm going to put a dot of medium CA in there. We're going to let it dry, and then we'll go back. I'd only sanded to 220, so I'll start over with the 150, level that out, and then we'll come back and finish up with the 220. I was in the process of sanding back and forth to remove any of the conical scratches when I noticed it. So let me go ahead and get that filled. I let the glue dry, and then I ran the blank with my finger on top and the sandpaper below the bottom, feeling back and forth until I couldn't feel the bump from the CA glue anymore. And if you look at the blank, you really can't tell where it's at. If we look really close, it's right there. That's going to polish up, look amazing, and you'll never even notice it. Now what I need to do is go ahead and give it a light sanding back and forth, make sure there are no conical scratches, or cylindrical scratches, I guess those would be. And then we're going to pull out the 220 and pick up where we left off. Keep your fingers crossed we don't have any more trouble with this blank. I'm ready to clean this blank with a little denatured alcohol. I'm going to start by rubbing back and forth. Normally this would be with the grain, although this thing doesn't really have a grain. And then I'm going to flip the lathe on and go ahead and wipe it this way. That's going to be absolutely beautiful. We're going to let this blank set for a few minutes. I need to let all of that denatured alcohol evaporate, and then I'm going to come back and start applying a finish. My blank has had plenty of time to dry, and I'm ready to go ahead and apply my first coat of thin CA. I put 5 coats of thin and 4 coats of medium, and you may notice it looks a little bit hazy. On the very last coat, I let it dry for about almost 10 minutes. Then I hit it with a shot of activator just to kind of seal it. It should be fairly well dry. What I'm going to do now is go ahead and get the non-stick bushings separated. We'll clean up the ends of the blank. Then I'm going to put the turning bushings, the turn between center bushings, back on the lathe with the blank, and we're going to go ahead and buff it up with our micro mesh pads. Got the blank cleaned up back on the turn between center bushings, and we're ready to run through our micro mesh pads. I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. All I've done is micro mesh, and just take a look at that blank. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to get out my buffing wheels, I'm going to buff it up, and then we're going to get it assembled into a pin kit, and I can't wait to see what this looks like. I've got a very special Monarch kit that I'm going to put this on. I want you to take a quick look at this blank. Just isn't that beautiful? I mean, it's just incredible. Let's go get this put into a pin kit. The kit I'll be using today is called the Elegant Monarch. It is in gold and gunmetal. It's a beautiful kit. I'm going to go ahead and get the cap started, and then we'll adjust the clip to where we want it and finish pressing this together. There we go. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure the clip is directly behind the apple. I'm just going to look down the barrel. That looks good. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and, well, let me make sure I didn't lose it. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and finish pressing it into place. All right. Show that to you a little bit closer. I just lined it up so it's directly behind the apple. This part here does unthread, so it was a little bit loose as I pressed it together, but it's nice and tight now. Let's go ahead and put the rest of the kit together. The spring is already on the refill. It's going to slide it down to the nib. I like this. It's got a little bit of let's call that a filigree around the nib section. There we go. Take the transmission, slide it into place, thread it on. Very nice action to these Monarchs. They're just like Sierras. This one, they just, to me, tend to be a little nicer kit. I really like them. Let's go ahead and press this together. And look at that. Is that not a beautiful pin? I mean, it turned out incredible. I couldn't be happier. This was a tough one to complete, but it's finally done, and it's so gratifying to be holding this completed pin in my hands. I'd really like to thank you for joining me in the shop. This has been a long time coming. I started this pin a long time ago and had that little issue with the blowout. And I want to thank everybody who watched that initial video and gave me ideas. No one commented and said laser cut an apple out or anything like that. There were a lot of people that said, oh, turn the end off and replace it with something else. There were some incredible ideas, but I had recently seen some of Kenneth Wines' work, and with a thought about removing the blemish and replacing it was in my head from you guys helping me out with suggestions. I contacted Kenneth. He's a lot like I am. When I blow a blank up, I want to fix it. That the challenge is what gets me stoked. And when I told him about this, he got all over it. He's like, yeah, that's a cool idea. I want to try it. And I got to say a special thank you, because he did not charge me for this. He did this as a favor simply because it was a challenge, and he had to prove to himself that he could do it. And the guy's a master. What I want you to do is go onto Facebook, look up Kenneth Wines, W-I-N-E-S. That's the only place he is on Facebook. He sells some of the most incredible laser cut and CNC blanks you will see. They are amazing. Check them out, and if you find something he sells that you like, buy it from him and tell him you found out about him from me, because without him, this wouldn't have been possible, and this is one of the most incredible pins I think I've ever made. Thank you so much for joining me in the shop today. I want you to know that you are always welcome in my shop. Come back and see me again real soon, and have a great evening, everybody.